Hello everybody, CRWC, I'm your host, Sedrik, and I'll be reviewing AEW Collision. And just as I truly was ready to give up on Collision, they go and do this. I'm to be honest with you, I'm highly impressed by this week's Collision. Very impressed. I hope all of you were impressed because it was great. It was a great show. There are things that you can dislike, but I tried to not get into this as much, but I did. So this might be a relatively long review, but I'm gonna try to shoot through it. It's just let y'all know it's 5:47 a.m. I didn't wake up until 2 a.m. and it took all that time to watch it. So let's do this. So it opens up with a TNT title match, three-way match. Sting not allowed at ringside, but nothing said about Nick Wayne. I'll spoil it. He didn't show up, but my prediction was Wayne will aid in saving the day or turn on Darby and become a heel, but he never showed up. So it's Darby Allin versus Christian Cage versus Luchasaurus. So my notes. Cage leaves the ring to have a seat and let Lucha do all the work. Darby throws powder in the eyes of Luchasaurus, dives on Cage, blasting him out of the chair. I wish this was not no DQ, but seeing that all their matches might as well be no DQ, it falls flat anyway. And yes, I did have the idea of, I should just do this as if it was a straight up sporting event without pointing out any flubs, any flaws or anything. And I was like, no. But if y'all ever want me to try to do that with a match, just let me know, because I can certainly do it. I mean, even with the lucha matches, I can make it sound like a good sporting event, like it was just straight up. But I'll be honest with you, toot my own horn, I can do that though. Keeping up the pace, Darby rushes a Yoshitonic on Cage for a 2 count, and then dives outside on Lucha, who barely knew how to fall down. Cage pokes the yacht to stop the one-man wrecking machine after a German suplex on a chair that Darby was holding by Luchasaurus. Cage told Lucha to go out and do something to get more weapons or something, but then he went for the pin. Lucha leaves and Cage does go for that pin, only for a 2 count, and Lucha looked like, what's up with that? I'm just like, you know what's up with that. Look, Christian Cage has to call this match and work both of these guys and make sure it looks good. All right, Christian Cage, he's doing double duty at one time in this match. So they just kind of beat on Darby for a while. The crowd doesn't like Christian Cage, despite just chanting for him a moment ago. Darby takes massive damage, but his comebacks are as if he's just fresh in the ring. I like that Darby can scramble, but if your back is laced up with tape and you're taking all this heavy back damage, I mean, you should be a little slow, a little hurt, a little something. But after beating on Darby, who does mount a small comeback before being ejected from the ring, Luchasaurus grabs the belt for the first time since he's won it, and they played that up. Kevin Kelly doing really good on commentary with that. He looks at it and Cage goes to him, only for Lucha to turn his back to him. The fans want him to turn on Cage. Cage wants the belt and Lucha gives it to him. This allows Darby to hit Cage from behind and knock him into Luchasaurus. Darby gets the belt and hits Lucha with it. Darby covers for a 2 count. Darby hit a PK. I only heard that. I was typing. Hit a PK, but I did see the coffin drop. Cage throws Darby from the ring and pins Luchasaurus. After the match, Luchasaurus already annoyed with him, so this should push it over the edge, is what I was thinking. And I was like, I can hear Christian Cage saying, I pinned you because I didn't want him to take this belt from us. I could hear that, but that's not how it went down. When Lucha nears Cage, Cage hugs him and then asks him to raise his hand, which he does. Cage climbs the rope. Luchasaurus gives him the piggyback ride or whatever, the electric chair ride or the champion's ride. Lucha didn't look too happy. And I was waiting for him to drop Cage and then, the turning and all this, yada, yada. But nope, that didn't happen. And right now, this actually makes people feel sad for Luchasaurus. I don't think he's going to get any boos unless they can really rebuild that heat. But yeah, this right here makes him look it makes him look bad. I don't want to say the other word, but it does make him look bad, and the crowd's going to have a lot of pity for him. So we're going to have to just see how this work out. So Don Callis, he's in the back. He says he has his third member, and that'll be Will Ospreay. I forgot about Will, and yeah, I will go over the Wrestle Dream lineup that they've presented thus far later on. Backstage, Cage dedicates the win to Nick Wayne's mom and his past father. Cage is told that Darby will fight for the TNT title at Wrestle Dream Best of 3 Falls. And they call it a classic wrestling match, but for all the wrong reasons. Here's the thing: people want to call a classic wrestling match something that's happened many times, sort of in the past. But the 2 out of 3 Falls matches are still recent, and to be honest, wrestling matches always used to be back in the day 2 out of 3 and could go a long time. Roughly these pay-per-views would be one match. So, I mean, I wouldn't have called it a classic. I really wouldn't. They called it a tradition and said, no, they failed on that. It's not a traditional match. It's not traditional like that. So this is, I don't like how they did this. I don't like how they're marking it up, but it's what they're doing. Tag team, Hook and Rob Van Dam versus Angelo Parker and Matt Menard. I noted that Rob looks way more in shape today than he did on his initial return. He had a little more pep in his step. He was sprier. So for the match, I like Hook's style of never letting go of his opponent. That's the style that he's been doing since he started in AEW, and he's actually only gotten better. That's really good. Stay on your opponent, stay locked up. That's kind of World of Sport style. But it's also a judo style. So, you got to really think about that. So it's a nice mixture of technically MMA. The faces do win. Red Rum on Parker and Frog Splash on Menard for the pin. Rob ain't going to get up like he used to for the Frog Splash. And if he ever does, I promise you, it's got to be a pay-per-view. It's got to be a sell. It's got to be something. Really good match. Rob Van Dam in rare form, slightly slower, but he's also slightly heavier. It's great to see him and great to hear the fans never forgot. Okay, I'm going to lay into this because there are things that I noticed. If I was a promoter, if I was in AEW and I had some kind of influence, I would tell Tony Khan this. You got Menard and Parker with this music. Anybody that has a recall to the WWF days of the 80s will hear those two theme songs sort of blended and revamped. Okay, but they did good. I like it. It's awesome. It's one of AEW's best theme musics. I got to give it up. It's one of their best. However, they need to push Angelo Parker. He can talk. He can wrestle. He looks good. He's not a big dude. But if they had a junior division, which I think they should have, because they do have clear heavyweights and juniors, he would have to be one of the kings of that junior division. I would push Angelo Parker in that area. I know they want to be all-inclusive, but even they have to acknowledge people like Orange Cassidy, Angelo Parker, people at that size, They aren't going to win the AEW World Heavyweight belt. They will if Tony Khan wants them to, but I'm just saying, aesthetics, just looking at it, no. They should never hold that belt. But that doesn't mean another belt can't be just as important. It's all about how you build it. I would push Angelo Parker. I really would. I ain't saying to the moon, but I would certainly get him out there because he's practically an it factor. I just get him away from Matt Menard and the others. That's what I would do. I would let that man do his own thing. After that, the Kingdom was a good promo. It was a good promo against the Best Friends about being neck strong and not being there for each other when Trent had his neck. Well, when Trent's neck was hurt. I'm reading and I don't have reader's eyes, y'all, so I just keep yawning. It's annoying. It bothers me. It bugs me, but but I push through it. We fight onward, right? That's what we do. We fight onward. We also yawn onward, but that's what we do. So next, we got Julia Hart versus Kiera Hogan. I noted that Julia Hart's intro gives me goosebumps. I also noted that Nigel informed us that Julia attacked Willow, who went to the hospital for observation. Good way to begin building this thing between them. Julia, this match, I don't like that they squashed Kiera Hogan. Kiera got a few things in, but Kiera's done way too much in enough promotions. She looks good. She's fast. She's accurate. She knows what she's doing in that ring, and you squash her. I didn't like that. Now, nitpicking, I think her braids are too long and she deserved to be squashed. That's a nitpick, but that's just me having a little fun. But they need to test Julia. I understand that she had this great match with Sky Blue, and she made Sky Blue look good. However, to have I'll get through this because it's not. I didn't take much notes, but after she got Kiera down, she says, "The house always wins," and I heard her voice, and I'm like, "Oh, there we go." And then she locks in Heartless and scores the submission. After the match, she locks in the hold once more. Sky Blue slowly runs to the ring, almost like the skip jog thing. Julia hides behind Brody King before lunging forward with misting Blue in the face. I had to keep from saying Misty Blue. I said it was slightly ill-timed, but not too much. King gets on the mic and says that the bodies will keep stacking until they get the main one. At Wrestle Dream, they want Chris Statlander, which that match was made is already, you could tell that they're not going to come out and do this if it ain't already there. And they're missing out on we want this, and then someone says you don't deserve it, yada, yada, yada. That's not going to happen. We're going to do this instead. And then that actually happens, and then they save it for a little bit later. Build up. But Wrestle Dream, I'll get there at the end. It's not bad, what I'm going to say. So Julia, she gets on the mic and she says, "And remember, Chris, the house always wins." And I had to note, Julia has a woman's voice. I love it. She's learning and it shows. I hope it never falters. So far, she's good in that ring. Now, granted, I'll give my thoughts on those two later, but they need to have Julia tested in longer winded matches. Maximum 15 minutes. They need to have her elevate her matches little by little and show stuff. That's what they need to do. I wish that they would have done that, but it is what it is. You got to see if she can carry a match without losing focus and whatnot. So, next in this, I need to speed it up, don't I? Jay White with all of Bullet Club Gold versus Andrade El Idolo. So the fans, they cheer for Andrade, but when he used a rolling suplex, they booed him Clearly, Sammy Guevara was accurate about the fans. I noted that the whole time Juice was talking trash and having fun at ringside at points. The fans was even got behind him. Juice was a character out there. I don't know where he gets the energy, but I want it. I want that level of energy. Jay knocks Andrade off the apron and just as fast, Bullet Club Gold run over with Juice gyrating his hips at Andrade. They ran over like a pack of dogs. Foreshadowing for later. During the commercial break, Jay hit a deep dragon screw, and the look on his face was as if he committed a crime. Jay tried multiple pin attempts. After a few begged for chops by Jay, they did a double knockdown with clotheslines. They got up with a strike exchange, and I know that this is basically for the fans, they're not necessarily at home. Andrade fires back with 2 deep dragon screws and a flying forearm called back to Tito Santana. The crowd chants for Idolo. Suddenly, Andrade goes for a swan dive moonsault, and he hits it on all the Bullet Club Gold on the outside, but then in the ring, he goes after Jay White with the diving moonsault. Jay moves out the way when Andrade lands. Immediately, he goes into a standing moonsault, but that was for a 2 count. They made note, I guess, of him or someone else that would do that, but obviously a much lighter wrestler should do that. But how he could just pop that off. This match, everybody, this match is amazingly good. It's really good. Jay hit a rarely used backdrop over the top rope, and I wrote, no, they must be back from the break, but I never heard him say anything. Jay hit a 180 high angle sambo slam for a 2 count, which they keep calling an uranage. Anything where they do the single arm side slam, they call it an uranage, and it's not. It's just not. If you ever seen an uranage, you would think they didn't kill that person, and that's straight up true. It looks brutal, and I think they made it illegal in pro wrestling because it's hard for someone to pull off. They have to be an expert beyond experts, a paragon at using that move. So Jay hit a bridging knee drop knee breaker on Andrade, and Andrade, I like how he yelled out, my knee, and I'm like, oh, that was pure damn English. A little later, Andrade, he did his beautiful, which I love, fake out kick into the elbow, but that was only for a 2 count. And you're seeing mid-card big match Jay White. That's the Jay White you're seeing. This is a good one. Andrade hit a double knee in the corner to the face, and then a hammerlock DDT. But Juice put Jay's foot on the rope to stop the count. Andrade applies the figure 4. Jay starts beating on his leg, trying to get him to break the hold, and then he bridges up, and Jay is in pain. Great job. But the guns distract the ref, and Juice whacks Andrade in the face with the plaque or something that he had. And then Blade Runner, Jay White gets the pin on Andrade El Idolo. And then after the match, Juice feigns peeing like a dog on Andrade, getting a great laugh from the crowd. Not sure if that was the best thing to do. It kind of burns Andrade. So Andrade has got to get some clap back at Juice. He's got to do something. And if I was Andrade El Idolo, I would certainly, by any means, start attacking him if I could catch him alone. That's what I would do. Take him out little by little. Get Jay White. He could do it on Collision. Not Collision, he could do it on Dynamite. He could kind of do a little bit on Rampage and then make an impromptu match for Wresting Dream, and they could have a knockdown, drag out, high caliber match, and legitimately, I would think, steal the show. He could do that. In the Ortiz, he has a promo saying that Santana is a keyboard warrior, and like always, he runs from his problems, but he won't be able to run from this for long. So obviously, Ortiz is chasing him down. He wants to go at it. He wants to fight, but Mike Santana will not have at it. And I'm like, okay. Shane Taylor cuts a promo on Keith Lee, telling the short story of joining Ring of Honor together and dominating the tag team division before Lee left to go work for the other billionaire, while Shane Taylor stayed and dominated without him. He makes a match between Lee and Moriarty. Maybe Keith and Lee. Keith Lee Moriarty. Two dudes will fight at soon enough. So Aussie Open, they come out and they're on commentary wearing suits, and okay. So this is the first main event. This is how I saw it. But it wasn't so. But I still put the first main event, 20-minute time limit match, AEW Tag Team title match, the Workhorsemen versus FTR. Not much to say really, but Anthony, Henry, and Cash, they wrestled great. I mean, it was a great start. I'm like, wow, this is the promise right here. I'm not a fan of JD Drake, but credit where it's due, right? So, but Drake and Dax, when they tied up, Drake laid in some loud chops and Dax was selling it very well. The crowd even was like, whoa, they came up on a chop and him selling it. Pro wrestling, y'all. But that's what this event was. This Collision was pro wrestling. I'm proud of him. Dax eventually returned fire. They went back and forth. Eventually, Henry and Dax, they tied up with a nice strike exchange and chops and middle kicks, ending with a brain buster by Dax. FTR's on the ropes after the Workhorsemen cut off the ring. Henry lands a diving double foot stomp on Dax, followed by a diving moonsault by Drake, who never hits it. But Dax kicked out just at the last microsecond. The crowd came up. The crowd was into this. They were pulled in. This wasn't some, we are chanting stuff. No, you can hear it. There's a difference between noob chant and I'm there. And they were there. Dax counters Drake's dive with a power bomb and applies a scorpion hold for the submission win. It was quick. I don't know what Drake was going for. I don't know what JD Drake was going for, but Dax caught him, power bombed him out of it. I've seen JD Drake hit a diving, rolling Frankenstein. I've seen that. Maybe that's what he was going for. Or a diving seated senton. Not sure. But at least it's that appearance was in his repertoire. So that's good. The Workhorsemen, a lot of people might be down on them, but man, I see it. I just wish JD Drake would work on losing weight and whatnot. I wish he would do that. Maybe something's preventing him. I don't know, but I wish he would work on that and just they could be a great, damn near dominant tag team. Anthony Henry is awesome. Just saying. So I had to note. So it will be as the graphics have shown and commentary kept saying. FTR defends against Aussie Open at Wrestle Dream. And they tried to pass it off as if, because they messed up and they know they did. But, we don't know who's going to be the champion. But they kept putting up the graphic, the FTR versus Aussie Open. So then in this, they tried to say that, they might not have the belts. So how would you might go against them, but they won't have the belts. And it's amazing how Kyle Fletcher was kind of like, I'm going to ignore all that you just said like 3 times in a row. It's like, because he knows what's going to happen. And he was kind of giving up the game. But after the match, Aussie Open gets on the mic with FTR and they pretty much like, look, we got to prove it to you and prove it to everyone and stuff that, we're the greatest tag team. And FTR, Dax, he's like, you need to show up and be the big dog. Because if you ain't going to be the big dog, then you don't need to come there at all. He's like, I'm on my knees. I'm begging and pleading that you show up, and you be awesome. So I'm like, okay. And I like top guys out through the mic in his chest. And that was it. Backstage, hot and flexible CJ talks. CJ says her husband is misguided. Miro comes in. He says his temptation is her, but her temptation is fame. They agree to do their own thing, and CJ asks him to promise to not lay hands on any of her clients or anyone she manages in the future. Miro stares, and he walks away, knowing he should not agree to promises he will not keep. So this is a build-up. It's a slow build-up, and it's a proper build-up. I want to see where they go with this. Because I can see her having a change of heart and managing Powerhouse Hobbs and that ticking Miro off. That's what I would like to see. I want to see the jealous husband and the guy that's out for, anyway, I'm supposed to humble you again. So, it's a 2-for. I don't like you with my wife, and I need to humble you to me. So I would like to see that, especially if Powerhouse Hobbs can talk up and keeping skin tone out of it, but talk up being with his wife and putting her over as sweet and gentle and delicate and flexible, just digging in the mirror. That would be good. That would be good. Because you want to see that level of anger. You want to see how they're going to wrestle next time. Because their last match, really good. I'd like to see. So, y'all ready for a long one? Because this is about what's going to happen here. This is your main event. Texas Death Match. Last man standing wins. Jim Ross joins commentary. Ricky Starks versus Bryan Danielson. I did not expect to get into this match like I did. And at points I had to pull myself out and take notice of what's happening. These two are good. They're good. Ricky starts off with the flurry of punches. Just start off. I like Ricky's outfit. I like this outfit. The match spills to the outside with the dive from Danielson. They fight up the stairs with Danielson using mini kicks. I noted that Kevin Kelly makes note that he won't use the right arm to protect it because it was broken and it had surgery. So he's going to protect that right arm. The cat's out the bag, so you got to use it. And that's what Kevin Kelly did. That was expert skill right there. Thank you, Kevin Kelly. Although sometimes that WWE crap come out of you and it just want to drive a nail in you manually. But still, thank you. They fight back to the ring and Starks throws him over the railing. Starks swan dives from the ring onto Danielson and into a few wrestlers and fans. I'm like, why? No, okay, but okay. Let's move on. They go to a break with both men beating on each other with little to no mercy. So that's good. Bryan takes over with headbutts, throws Starks into the ring, and applies the Romero special after seemingly telling him a few spots to go through. Starks escapes, and outside with Bryan, he hit Bryan with the ring bell. Starks gets the mic and says that Bryan is dead in his time, and he's keeping his promise and putting his asshole down 6 feet under. So that was good. That was good. Back from the break. Although what I watch, you see through the break. So, I get to see all that stuff. Back from the break, Starks pours on the punches after an expert blading by Danielson. I won't say when it happened, but if I had not stopped typing, I wouldn't have seen it. Starks whacks Danielson knee with a chair against the post. I'm going to make an epic spoiler of the match because I saw it. I was like, oh, wait, that's right. But Starks prepares to Pillmanize Bryan's leg, but the Dragon gets up and uses the chair on the shoulder of Starks, stunning him on the top rope. Starks fight back on the top rope, but and bites the wound of Bryan and spits it out. And the crowd, chants that he's sick. Bryan blocks and uses a spider vertical suplex. We saw Julia Hart use that not too long ago. Jim Ross tells you there's no pins, submissions, countouts, but there are knockout counts. On point, Jim Ross, as always. Starks throws a chair in Bryan's face as he charges in. The fans chant they want tables. I'd not give it to them. I'm sure they will later on. And you know what? They didn't. Yes. They didn't give them tables. Yes. Ricky Starks does a Norman Smiley cowboy on Danielson as they go to the break for picture-in-picture. Starks gets the strap and whips Bryan a few times before choking him into a running bulldog. Aubrey counts Bryan, who breaks the count by rolling out of the ring. Bryan posts Starks out there. Starks gets a chain and smacks Bryan with it. And I had to note, these two cannot fail. They're just that good. Jim brings us back from break, telling the short story of his this brutal match. Starks hit the spear and then uses the chain to choke Bryan. Nigel reminds us this is how Starks lost to Bryan in the strap match. Aubrey counts Bryan, who gets up on 9. I noted that Starks is not on the pay-per-view for Wresting Dream, and Bryan should not go in with a loss. That is what let me know who was going to win. I didn't think about that until now. I was just in the match. I didn't even think about that when the match was made. I wasn't even thinking about Zack Sabre Jr. Starks goes after Bryan with a hangman's choke with the chain. Bryan gets out of it. Ricky tries to spear him, but is countered with an omoplata. Bryan used the chain like he did the strap, and Ricky taps out. But there are no submissions in this match. And Nigel McGuinness, he gets up, and Kevin says, "Sit down." I've had to hear him say that in New Japan Pro Wrestling to Don Callis and others a few times. Bryan holds the chain, and Aubrey counts, which isn't fair because she didn't count when Bryan Danielson was being choked out, but she's going to count when he's choking out Ricky Starks. That's not fair. Ricky needs to be able to point that out. He needs to, because then he could say that if she did, then Bryan Danielson would have lost that match. So he needs to be able to use that. So, I hope that he can go back, watch it, and prepare his next promo or whatnot. Ricky fights back, and he fights back while being choked out. He fights back. Danielson ground and pounds him because he's like, this ain't gonna work. I need to hit him. The crowd chants the match is awesome. Okay, they can say that with every single match that they do. Bryan front kicks a chair into Ricky Starks' head, who now bleeds from above the eyebrow, and it's coming down too. Bryan stomps Ricky's head in, the double wrist lock, and stomps his head in, only to get spit in the face. Jim Ross talks about the toughness. I think it was Jim Ross talked about the toughness of Starks and stuff. He spit in the face as they announced that they're going to stay with this match. No more commercial breaks. The fans chant AEW. Now that is rare. That's rare. The fans are chanting AEW. Bryan wraps the chain around his knee, and I mean he wrapped it around his knee. It looked like a steel knee pad. And he ran and hit a sprinting knee bomb, the psycho knee. Aubrey counts them both down. Danielson wins as he gets up on 9, but Ricky lays prone. So, that's a Rocky 2 right there. They had their Rocky moment. But they did it the way it needs to be done. That was good. Nice knockout hit. Like, the way you're going to beat me is if you knock me out. So he had, that's literally clout that he could have. So after the match, Big Bill, Wheeler Yuta, they go in and check on their respective allies. Starks is getting up, recovering. He is selling the match. Ricky Starks is selling the match. He's hurt. He's leaning over. He's dazed. He doesn't thoroughly know where he is. He looks like someone that doesn't realize he even got hips right now. And he's trying to get a hold of Danielson at points. I don't know if he wants to shake his hand or whatnot. I'm sure we'll hear something about it on Twitter or whatnot. X. Somebody will say something. Maybe he shook his hand, or I don't know. Who knows? But from what all I could see was, him trying to get at Danielson, and that's how the show went off. And it was a great AEW Collision. This match could have been at the pay-per-view. I would have rather seen this than Danielson against Zack Sabre Jr. That's what I'd rather see. But it is what it is. They're going to do what they want to do. I'm going to go for the Wrestle Dream lineup as advertised in this show. Swerve Strickland versus Adam Page. Swerve Strickland should win. He needs to win. He really does. It's a match that not many are going to be waiting to see, but everybody's going to be, after the way Swerve dog walked him on the mic, he needs to win. Chris Jericho, Kenny Omega, and Kota Ibushi versus Sammy Guevara, Will Ospreay, and Konosuke Takeshita. That match, don't care about. Do not care about. However, I can easily see Don Callis' family winning and Jericho blaming Kenny and Kota, but nothing coming out of that really. Or they're going to reignite their thing and do something at another pay-per-view. Who knows? Kenny is kind of falling off. He's not in anything at all. So who knows? Double title defense. Eddie Kingston defends the New Japan Openweight the strong open weight and the Ring of Honor world title against Katsuyori Shibata, who is the Ring of Honor pure champion, but his title is not up for grabs because this is not a pure match. In general, this is a match that Eddie Kingston is going to win, and he needs to win, seeing that he just won the belt, and it'd be messed up they made him a transitional champion. It would hand Katsuyori Shibata a loss, as well as letting you know that, yeah, he can be beat, with someone, that's a good thing, that he can be beat. It's just not going to be by Nick Wayne. That's what that needs to be. But I'm looking forward to the first match a little bit. I don't think anyone really cares about Swerve and Adam, but I want to see Swerve win. I don't care about the second match too much at all. I am intrigued by the double title defense. I want to see how Eddie performs now that he has it, if there's anything new that he's going to do. Not move-wise, but his performance. Next is the Ring of Honor tag title defense. Better Than You, Baby will defend against The Righteous. That match should blow it all out the water, but it will not. I suspect that Better Than You, Baby shall win, considering the fact that going on storyline that MJF or Max and Adam Cole, that their relationship is tumultuous at best. Like, it's good, it's gravy, we're great friends, yada yada, but then small hiccup and then it blows up, because that's exactly what Max is going to try to have happen. Even though I'm enjoying him as a babyface, because he's a scumbag babyface, loving it. He's literally taking on the Eddie Guerrero moniker, so that's great. Next is the AEW World Tag Team Title Defense, FTR versus Aussie Open. Not caring about that match, only because I do not care to see all the flippy flip from Kyle Fletcher. But at the same time, if Aussie Open is led in this match by FTR can make this look amazing. So I'll watch it just to see. TBS title defense, Chris Statlander versus and defending against Julia Hart. Julia Hart needs to win the match, just straight up. Statlander, I'm not feeling her right now. I'm not digging her right now. I don't know what happened to her. When she won it, and her first two defenses, or first two matches in general, was all right. And before that, they were all right. And then after that, it was kind of like, what happened to you? Just what happened to you after you won this belt? So Julia Hart performing the way she has been is consistent. You can trust it. And her as champion, she's deadly. She's dangerous. She knows what she's doing in that ring. And I haven't seen any flubs or anything like that. So I would like to see her defending this belt. Next is the TNT title defense, Christian Cage versus Darby Allin. Best of 3 falls. I think that's going to be a good match. Sad to say, I think that they're going to have Darby Allin win when he doesn't need to. And if they have him lose, Christian Cage will lose it to Nick Wayne. They're going to just set this up because Christian's poking the bear all the time. No matter who wins that match, in general, it'll be all right. But I'd rather Christian Cage keep it so that people can go after him, because that way they can build those people up. If Christian leads them and they learn, he can help build them up and make them better wrestlers. So that's what I'm hoping. Dream match, Bryan Danielson versus Zack Sabre Jr. The New Japan Pro Wrestling World Television title will not be defended. I do not call this a dream match. Dream matches is something that fans have been wanting for a very long time. No one's even spoken of this. Haven't heard of it by anyone anywhere. I haven't heard it on X. No one said it in any comment section here. No one said it in the comment section on Jim Cornette or any other place. No one has spoken of these two needing to wrestle. Haven't heard it, period. But it's somehow a dream match. Not digging it. And it certainly doesn't need to be the main event. But this is the match order that they presented. That doesn't mean that this is going to be the order at the pay-per-view. I like the name Wrestle Dream. I like the music they was playing to build up and advertise these matches. It was pulling me in. I want to be amped to see this. Personally, I want to be amped to see this. But the way AEW has presented themselves all these years, I am extremely skeptical. And I don't want to put my emotions out there for this just for them to get cut down. That's how I feel. So I've gone over everything I think I can go over and anything like that. But hey, hopefully y'all enjoyed this. And Cedra will be back home tomorrow. And we can have a schedule as normal. So with that said, this has been Sedrik for CR Wrestling Commentary on AEW Collision. Y'all be good, be chill, be safe, and I'll see you next time.